One of the commonalities of all top producing agents is that the majority of their business comes from their sphere. The big issue is that most agents don't know how to properly leverage their sphere and also build a business that's predicated on repeat and referrals. Today I'm bringing on Matthew Nicholas from Winnipeg up here in Canada, and he is a massive award-winning top producing agent for over 12 years, and 90% of his business comes from repeat and referral. However, up until about 6 years ago, that wasn't the case. So today what we're going to do is we're going to break down his blueprint of how he's getting 90% of his business, doing upwards of 94 deals per year as an agent, just from repeat and referral. And trust me, when you watch this video, he breaks down so clearly exactly how to do all of the touch points throughout the year and everything that you need to do in order to generate massive amounts of referrals from every single client that you ever work with. Now, before we get started, I will mention two quick things. Number one is that Matt actually has a YouTube channel that he launched recently, and he's getting a ton of clients from it. So if you want to see a blueprint of how people are also leveraging YouTube to get clients, I'll link all of his contact information and social profiles below. And number two, if you want to talk about partnering with Matt and getting the inside scoop on all of his incredible tricks, then I will link his calendar link below and you can feel free to reach out to him. So without further ado, let's dive into the blueprint of how to skyrocket your business the top producer way by leveraging your sphere to generate a business on repeat and referrals. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode. And this is one that I'm incredibly excited for because it's on a topic that seemingly everybody knows is incredibly important, but not many people know how to actually execute on, which is building a very successful, award-winning, top-producing business through repeat and referral. A lot of agents know that any of the top producers in their market really build a business around getting clients coming directly to them from the database that they have in their sphere, but not many people actually know the strategy to do it. So I brought on the best guy to talk about this exact topic. So today we've got on Matthew Nicholas, who is also a Canadian agent up here with me in the North. And he, again, is a top producer, award-winning realtor who's been in the business for 12 years and really transitioned his business about 6 years ago to go from the typical chasing the next deal forever to actually building a business where with less time, income increases. So really excited to dive into Matt's super cool strategy on repeat and referral business so that you can learn as well. So Matt, welcome on. Excited to have you here, man.
Oh, thank you so much for doing this call with me. I'm really excited to share. When we moved our business to repeat and referral, we just saw such a change on the team's lifestyle and our ability to, spend more time with family and things like that while still achieving a high rate of success. So, over the last 6 years, we've essentially transitioned our business from, spending a ton of money on advertising, chasing the next deal, not knowing, how many deals a year I'm going to do, to, I wake up January 1, I know exactly how many deals I'm going to do for the year because I know how many people are in my database. And the beauty about the repeat and referral model, it's just math. It's just math, right? Like you have the numbers in, you work the system and you get the return.
I love it. And I think, just breaking it to a math conversation and just bringing up that word in general is really important for people to take note of because, I talk about this all the time, which is what gets measured gets managed. And a lot of people don't even know the math of their business to the point where they can't even make calculated decisions that are data driven. They're making, emotional decisions, not logical decisions, which is really dangerous and why a lot of people kind of struggle to grow their business every year. Because if you don't know where the kind of holes in the bucket are, because you're not measuring it, you're never going to be able to plug them and scale. So before we kind of dive into your strategy, maybe you just want to give people, a quick kind of synopsis of who you are, where you're from, some of the successes that you have, and then we'll dive straight into the pretty epic VIP referral strategy.
Yeah. So I'm from Winnipeg, Manitoba. I've been a realtor for 12 years. I started in the new construction side of things. I do a lot of land deals. I moved into condos for a while. We had a tough condo market in 15. So then I switched into the luxury market, and I've basically been able to penetrate all of those markets and kind of shift and move my business along to, make sure, first of all, I'm happy doing what I'm doing and it's exciting. It's it's a really funny story. I think to get into that repeat and referral position, I started like a lot of agents. I had an unbelievable year. I did 450,000 in gross commissions. And then I looked at my spending, and I had spent like $380,000 in like advertising and all this craziness. And, like you're running and gunning, and all these people are calling you, and you're like, oh, I'll run this ad, I'll run that. And look, I'm not saying that those ads didn't get the result, but I sat at the end of that year and I said, like, man, we got to do something different here. Like this, we can't, like, this doesn't work for me. Like I'm sitting here running around, we did almost 100 deals, taking all this time away from everybody. I'm like, what do we need to change? So I started to reach out and look to other agents that were doing what I wanted to do. And they said, look, you got to get into this repeat and referral system. You got to get more consistent. You got to understand where you're coming from, and you got to make a better plan, right? So like you said, we had to make that plan. We had to start measuring things differently and looking at it differently to get that success.
Yeah, it makes complete sense. And that's something that, again, a lot of top producing agents don't actually talk about, probably, because they're not too proud of it, is the fact that, again, it's one thing to make a $250,000, $500,000, $750,000, $1 million a year GCI. But what a lot of people don't, really openly discuss is, how much of that is actually profit. And a lot of people are, if you spend, $400,000 to get $500,000 in commission versus spending $100,000 to get $350,000 in commission, the one with the lower commission is actually the one that's winning because they've got a higher profit margin. But a lot of people are just focused on the vanity metrics at the top of the line that they could talk or boast about, but not actually building a business that is profitable to give them the lifestyle they're looking into. So I'd really love to start unpacking this in terms of, the repeat and referral strategy that you've done, and kind of just let you go to town on that, because you've got a really cool system in place that I also think is, not only predictable, but also duplicatable.
It is, absolutely. So look, we are indeed this, we ripped off and duplicated, right? Like this wasn't something that like I invented or whatever. Like we reached out to people, we did some training, we looked at other models, we talked to a lot of people, and we said, hey, like, let's put this together and just work the system, right? So, I think the thing that really stuck with me when I started was almost 70% of people choose their realtor by repeat or referral. 70%. Like that's just like a massive, massive number, right? So you're sitting here and you're looking at your budget. So your marketing budget, if you're not spending more than 70, 80% to build that side of your business, you're just throwing money away. Like, like, look, I'm not saying mailers don't work and all these other things don't work, but it's about when you have a business and you're starting a business, you need to get that high leverage activity. So if 70% of people are choosing it this way, why is that not your focus? Right. So when we started, we said, look, okay, we understand, we were already established. So we looked at our database and we started to tier it out. Right. And we said, look, take the absolute top of the database. Like our VIP group is the AA tier. They've either already referred us, they've already repeated with us, or they have an extremely high likelihood of doing so. And just a note, an extremely high likelihood of referring is somebody you just did business with. So everybody that we do business with immediately goes into the A tier, right? So like we just did a deal with them, you go into the A tier, right? So inside of that though, we absolutely have people in this part of the group that we've never done business with. Look, they're in their house for 20 years, they're never moving, they love it, they built the pool, it's all good, but they like us, they know us, they trust us, they like the team, they'll refer us business. So I think one of the big things, especially for the newer agents, don't get hung up on the fact that you don't have a lot of repeat business. You got to focus on the referral business, right? Like there's many, many people, mortgage brokers, lawyers, all kinds of other people that are dealing with people that you want to meet and have referrals from. So focus on that. And then as the deals come, you can move into the repeat strategies, right? So
yeah, it makes complete sense. And I think it's, the concept that, as you kind of dive into this, that I just really hope people really understand is that, in any line of business, especially real estate, but it's kind of a principle that it is much more expensive to acquire a new client than to resell or get a referral through a client that has already worked with you. So a lot of people, again, are really struggling to build that scalability because they're constantly going after the next one, which is time consuming, costly, overwhelming, stressful, instead of just servicing the people that have already, accepted and raised their hand that they actually enjoy working with you.
Absolutely. Because the second part of this, it's a like, know, and trust business, right? So they got to know you, they got to trust you, and they got to like you, right? So if you have people that are like friends or in groups or whatever, if they already like, know, and trust you, they will refer you as long as you're asking for it and you're providing value in their life. So that's the other key part of this. We have a massive return on our repeat referral because it's value driven. Right? Like it has to provide value in people's lives. When you provide value, they give you value. So this is not about sending, a business card once a year or giving people a notepad or a pen. I'm not saying that stuff might not be valuable when you need to scratch a note, like when you're on the phone trying to figure out a number, but true value. So what we understood is when we built out our system, we know through market research and data, you need to hit or touch your repeat and referral group at least 33 times a year. Okay, so you need 33 touches to continue to be top of mind and grab that like mind share, right? So people say 33 touches, that's a lot. Well, look, a birthday card, a Christmas card, right? Like those are touches and they work, right? Then inside of every touch that we went through, we asked the question in the team, is this for us or is this for them? Mm-hmm. Right? The answer always has to be for them, right? Like a lovely handwritten, not this printed stuff, handwritten birthday card, talking to them and telling them that you saw them on social media or you've seen they're having a great year or they're having a bit of a tough time and you wish them well. Like that's valuable to somebody. When they open up that card and they see a handwritten message, they're like, wow, this is a valuable experience. Like this person's really thinking about me, right? As far as like events, right? Like we do 4 events a year for client appreciation. It was a little tougher during COVID. We definitely shifted gears and we did like survival guides, like lockdown survival guides. We did scratch tickets, right? Like all kinds of things to just kind of keep people moving and again, provide value. Like I think we were all sitting at home wondering, what are we going to do with our life next, right? So we had all kinds of games and stuff and whatever. We're moving back to events, which we're super excited about because those really work, right? So for our events, we have a lot of families and we said, hey, what do people want? They want events for their kids and for families to come out. So we've done like an afternoon at the trampoline park, right? Like, we've done a VR game night, right? Like, so people have an opportunity to bring their families and friends and interact with us. We always ask people to invite somebody else too, so they can experience what it's like, being part of our group. And it's valuable, right? Like it's no charge. For us, it doesn't cost a lot of money. Like I think the VR night costs us like $200 to book the thing out for the night. Like from a marketing spend position, that's not a lot of money, right? We had 20, 30 people attend out of our group, right? And they're experiencing us. They're back in our memory. It's never selling. Never talk about real estate, never pitch things, never talk about listings, right? Like if somebody asks you how the market's doing, hey, great, man, I'll send you out a market analysis, like whatever, this, that, but it's never push. Never have an event where you're bringing some sales crew down to like sell knives or whatever. Like just don't do it. Like value, something completely free, something special for them, an experience that they can remember, right? So that's kind of where we're at with that. So you got to hit them 33 times. It's got to be value driven, right? And it's got to be things that make sense for your group, right? Like, look, if you're dealing with a bunch of hardcore investors and that's where most of your business comes, like maybe family day is not the best. Like maybe it's like, renting a limo and going to a cigar lounge or like going to a 5-star steak restaurant or whatever, right? So you got to kind of know your audience and craft it to that. And again, get them to invite a friend, build the network. You want to get people in there and as many people as you can in that top tier.
Yeah, I love that. And the events are something that, I used to do this ironically with investors is I would host a monthly networking event for investors and talk about flipping properties and things like that. And, the events like you're doing for a client appreciation is so powerful because it's a one-to-many scale, but in the most personal way, because yes, again, like, social media works incredible. I live by that, but it's one-to-many in, not as much of a personal way, right? You, of course, if you're leveraging video, it's about as personal as you can get, but with ads and things like that, it's just not, if we're being completely honest here. And the events are really powerful because not only is it one-to-many on a personal level, but again, it's a really great way to expand that network through bringing people to something that's fun and enjoyable. Now, I know you've done kind of, two different things that have worked really well. And I'd love to unpack them because one of them I continuously do, or did when I was focused on production, which is the kind of annual CMAs, where I kind of took an approach to say, hey, I'm just going to do this for all of my clients. I'm doing an annual review of your, home evaluations just so that you keep your finger on the pulse. And that worked really well because it's not like, hey, you're looking to buy or sell. And then the next thing that you've done is kind of personal calls. And I think a lot of people would really like to know how you approach those personal calls versus the typical, hey, it's Mike Sharp with eXp Realty. Do you know anybody looking to buy or sell?
Yeah, like it's really interesting. So it's one of those things. What's the first question that everybody asks you when they know that you're a realtor? How's the market? Right? Like it's the number one question. Like everybody, you're at a party, you're at the mall, you're getting gas, you're like, oh, you're a real estate agent. How's the market? Right? So it's like that's valuable to people. People want to know how their house is performing. They want to know what's going on. So the annual CMA is a hugely powerful tool for us. I will say it took a lot of work to set up in the beginning, right? But what we did is we spent the time and we built out a spreadsheet. So we put each one of our properties in our AV database and we put what they purchased it for, right? The area and the style, right? And then as we did our first year, we put the increase in value, right? So once we built out the spreadsheet, I actually just put a formula in now. So like say, an area in South Winnipeg is performing at a 4% increase. I just times everything by 4% now. So I make it easy, right? Like now the work is done. It's just like I hit 4%, it shoots out the value. I just do a quick double check because sometimes like you look at something and you're like, oh wow, that's like way too much, right? But it takes me way less time now, right? So we also time it in a certain, we time it right by tax time. Right? So tax time is when people are thinking about, their property value, their property taxes are coming out. It's just like, it's a little bit before spring market, right? Like, so February is when we send it out, right? Because we find that is a really important time to send it out because again, we're catching people before spring market, they're paying their taxes, they're thinking about moves, they're looking at their incomes, they're like, wow, we made way more money or we made way less money, right? Whatever it is, right? So that timing is important, right? Yeah. We also send it out in email format and in a hard copy. Another trick that whenever we're sending out stuff for our VIP group, it's always in nice envelopes, handwritten address, and a real stamp. Okay. Never use the postage machine at your office. Like always a real stamp, right? Because the postage machine at your office, people will just tear it up, right? And then also with the CMA, it's just a one-pager. So what we did is we designed basically a one-pager that has the price they purchased the home at, what the current value is, and then what they've gained in equity with a huge green arrow, right?
Nice.
And we always do it like with equity position, not year over year, because you could be up or down year over year. So we always want to show that upward progression, right? Mm-hmm. Then there's a huge call to action at the bottom. It says, look, this is just a paper estimate. Like if you want an actual value on your home, call us and we will come do a walkthrough tour. Or if you've done any renovations to the house, reach out and let us know and we'll update our notes. Right. So, like I had somebody, they did their basement. They said, nah, thanks so much. Like, we did the basement. So we think that this is a little low. I said, hey, let's come over. I'll come over. I'll take a look at the basement and we'll add it to our notes. Right. So now next year, I know that basement's been finished out, right? So now when I look at the comps, I can push that a little bit higher and I can adjust that price and then I'm more accurate going forward. Every year we send these out, we get sellers. Yeah. Every year we send it out. People are like, wow, I can't believe my home's worth this much. Or you know what, we were thinking about it. Once we saw this, we got to sell. So we always get sellers. We also always get conversations and we always get referrals. Right. So people are like, hey, I was talking to my friend, they also want a market analysis. Right. So we know that that's key, right? So that's kind of how we do it. Those are some of the tips and tricks that we've used to get a really high rate of success on that.
I love that. And I think, again, a lot of people complicate and overcomplicate how to get listings and sellers because they're always thinking from, a selfish kind of, a personal perspective of, what kind of ad can I run, or what can I do for me to get listings for me, not what could I do for a potential seller that would be valuable to them, where they might want to consider using me. And I think it's, again, everybody that's built a really successful business like yourself ends up doing it in a value driven way. And, kind of as we start bringing things full circle here, about those kind of personal calls, like, what kind of approach would you take if you were to, want a couple of those 33 touch points, call somebody? How do you approach that conversation?
Again, the 33 touch program, it's a mindset of not selling.
Yeah.
Like it just don't sell. Like, just stop selling, stop it, stop pushing, connect, provide value. So the calls are just like, they're just like calling my friends, right? Like, like they're people in my database, and yes, they're clients, but they're just my friends, right? So you just call them up and say, hey, how's it going? Like, like I chatted with you around Christmas and you were telling me about a new job, and you just have a chat. Like, there's never an ask, there's never a sell. If they want something from you, if they want to deal with real estate or whatever, they'll engage, right? And then absolutely help them, right? If there's a problem with their house, if there's something going on, whatever, just fix it. Try to help them. Just do whatever you can to be helpful, right? Like, in every social media post that I always finish off, like, if you need anything, reach out to me. Like be the person of influence and the person of value in somebody's life, and they will absolutely send you business, refer you, scratch your head. Like, I've literally had listings that I lost or that they didn't sell, and because I kept at them and kept helping them, they've sent me business. Like, it's absolutely, it's mind blowing. You're like, oh, like, you didn't even use me, but like, now you're sending me this person. And then look, we have our own systems to try to leverage that out, right? But like, it's about helping people. It's about creating value in their lives. And when you take that approach, they're not a client, like, they're not a lead, they're not a commission, they're a person. They have things happening in their life. They want to talk to somebody. Like, I literally had a client that, like, he was going through a tough time with some health problems with his wife. And he said, Matt, he's like, you were one of the only people that continued to reach out to me and help me through that time. Like he's not a client, he's a friend, and I love it. That's the business I want. I want to work with a bunch of friends and people that I care about and engage with. And, it makes life a lot easier.
Yeah. And I think that's an extraordinarily important kind of subtle mindset approach that I think a lot of people hopefully take away from this is that, again, whether you be generating leads in terms of, online lead follow-up, or whether you be prospecting, or whether you be calling somebody, I think one of the most powerful things you said is that these are friends. They're not just clients. They're not just like robots. So you're hoping that the algorithm like flips a switch and suddenly they're ready to sell today and they're just going to respond. Like, this is where a lot of people struggle with, like, for example, what I did door knocking in the beginning is subconsciously they feel like they're soliciting. So they approach it in a way that comes across as solicitational. Whereas when I approached it, I was confident that I would provide more valuable than anybody else in the market, so that if they were to make a decision, I'd be the right person. So when I went in with the confidence that I was leading with value, not soliciting, it came across in a value-driven way. Same with your calls. A lot of people struggle with their sphere, because I hear this on group conversations all the time. I don't know what to say to them because I feel like I'm being pushy or I'm being salesy. Well, if you feel like you're being pushy or salesy, that's probably because you're approaching it in a pushy or salesy way. It's not rocket science here, guys. It is literally just treating these people like freaking people, and not online leads. So I love it, man. It's, as you kind of bring this full circle, is there anything else that you kind of want to leave people with in terms of the VIP strategy?
Yeah, I think it is one of those strategies that absolutely takes time and effort. And you might get a return right away or whatever, but it's the long-term position of your business, right? Like, it's building something that's predictable, right? Like, and so I believe what it is, it's about a 20% return, right? If you work it properly. So if you get 100 people in your Class A database, and you're working properly, you should get about 20 deals, right? So if you want to transition to a full repeat and referral business, if you're doing 40 deals or 80 deals, you're going to have to increase your number and build that sphere out. Also, to don't get discouraged, right? Like we absolutely, like we had some events where we were sitting around the table and we're like, this event is going to be epic. And like, I can't believe it. We're so much value. Nobody came.
Yeah.
Nobody came. Like we hung out by ourselves, we ate some pizza, cried about it a bit and moved on, right? Like, and when you analyze things and you understand, so then we started to look at that and we said, okay, like what's connecting with people? When do we have the highest attendance? When do we have the most reach out, right? And then we started to tailor that to our group. So try things, don't be scared. And also it doesn't have to cost a lot of money. Our first event that we did was we had an ice cream night at the Forks. That's like a place where a lot of people go and meet in Winnipeg. So I think it cost me like $75, right? And we invited everybody for ice cream. We had ice cream with people. We chatted with them. We went for a walk on the river. It was easy. It was almost free, right? And also think outside the box. We had some partnerships. So we actually had Starbucks come and provide coffee and treats for absolutely no cost to our group, because when their baristas are training to get a certain level, they have to serve people. So if you just reach out to places, there's many places that can do like promos or like cost sharing, pick up with a mortgage broker. Like, why wouldn't a mortgage broker want to have repeat and referral too? Like that's what drives their business, right? Reach out to them, share costs, right? And don't just do one. Like with the events, those are the events are one of the keys to this. So you got to make sure that you do at least 4. Again, when we started, we were trying to do 1 a month. For us, it was too much. Like we just had too much on the go. But I know agents, they do 1 a week. They say, hey, we love skating in the winter. Come join us for skating. Again, this isn't a sales event. This is a come hang out event, right?
Yeah.
Just come hang out with us, come chat with us, right? You got to get that mind share. You got to have consistency, and then you got to make sure that you have enough of each piece. So I would say at least 4 events. Make sure you get those 33 touches. Always ask, is this for me or is this for you? And test it with other people. Talk to your friends, talk to people you trust, and say, hey, would you find this valuable in your life, right? And if they say no, it seems kind of salesy or like whatever, scrap it. Go to something else. Get to that value.
Yeah, I think, the key component there is, kind of looking at this as a long-term play of delayed gratification instead of instant gratification, because a lot of people are going to do one event or do this for, follow up and write cards for 1 quarter, and then they don't get the results they're expecting, and then they quit. And the kind of approach mentally that you need to go into this with is, would you rather take the next 5 years to build a 90% referral business, repeat and referral business, or for the next 20 years of your career, do you want to be chasing the next deal, spending, a ridiculous amount of money to acquire new clients that are never going to send you anybody, right? And it's, it's a short-term pain for a long-term gain. And, as we wrap up here, the question we always like to ask is, you were at a traditional brokerage and you were crushing it, and, you were winning awards and you were doing, incredible stuff. And a lot of people are kind of curious as to why somebody that is basically the dominant or one of the most dominant figures in the most well-known traditional brokerage in the market, why would they kind of explore different avenues like a cloud-based brokerage like EXP?
It's really interesting. I looked at it a number of times, and I thought about it, and I was kind of going through it, and I'm like, is this going to work? Like, what does this look like? At times, I think, as much as I do use a lot of technology, we're kind of like, do we really can we do this without an office? Like, this is a big question for us. Like, can this happen with no office, right? So, there were some challenges there, right? But I think when I really looked at it, and I looked at our life, and we looked at kind of what we want to build in our life and an overall plan, we wanted more from our brokerage, right? Like, look, for the last 12 years, I have won awards. I've been in the top 1%, the top 3% every year. And I'm like, okay, look, I've got this awesome plastic statue, and I've got this cool certificate frame that tells me that I did really well, right? And I'm not saying I didn't, from a monetary standpoint, but from a long-term standpoint, I'm like, okay, what did they give back to me, right? So when I started looking at XP with the stock rewards, you know, I'm like, this makes sense. Like I invest in the stock market. Like I looked at the company, like the company's making money. It has huge revenues. It's paying a dividend. These are all things that I invest in personally. So like literally, if I just go to work and do the exact same thing that I did before, I will enjoy a reward of a stock that I would buy anyways. like this makes total sense, right? As well, you know, we want to grow. We want to grow our team. I want to grow the team, and I kind of, I've done some of the traditional models, and I want to help more people. I want to reach out to more people. I want to educate more people like this. And I feel that EXP is the best avenue to do that, because with a traditional brokerage, I'm limited to my market. Like I can build a team inside of Winnipeg. And then if I want to, you know, if like I've got some great friends in Vancouver, and you know, if they want to be on my team, if they want to join me and help, like have that support and help and coaching and everything, well, I got to go license myself in BC and go get another bro. Like it just seems like ridiculous. And it's always been one of my goals is to go past my city, but without that, without the right model, I was restricted in that. So
yeah, it makes complete sense. And I think that's one of the coolest part about people that achieve your level of success is that it gets to the point where, you know, they now want to leverage their success to help other people and be like, hey, this worked for me and it could probably work for you. I don't like to see that you're struggling. You know, we could be partners, we can help. And this is the most scalable avenue to do it. So I love it, man. I'm super grateful for everything you shared today. And again, everybody, I'm going to link all of Matt's, you know, links to all the social profiles below, as well as, you know, a calendar to book a meeting with him. Make sure you check out. He's also starting to put content out on YouTube, which has been doing pretty incredible right off the jump. So super grateful to have you on here, Matt. Hopefully you guys actually take action on what everything you share, because it can completely change your business over the next few years. So thanks so much for tuning in. As always, please make sure to like, comment, subscribe. We'll see you in the next video.